whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today, but if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on do our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
Ho, ho, ho. This is your legal Santa, Gavin Richard, wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year. The law offices of Gavin M. Richard, going the distance so that justice may be served. Hi, I'm attorney Gavin M. Richard. Check out my latest book, The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in America. For approximately 2 years now, I have gone on a painstaking quest to investigate the rise and fall of an American icon, Bill Cosby. In the mid-1980s, there was not a star that was higher than Cosby. Advertisements with Coca-Cola, Jell-O, Kodak, along with the #1 television show for 5 straight years in a row. On Thursday nights, it was must-see TV on NBC. Cosby resurrected the genre of the traditional family sitcom that was once thought dead by television critics. He did this as a Black American with an all-Black cast and showed mainstream network executives in white America that it was possible to be successful without showing the worst in people. He also demonstrated the power that television had, as it can make younger people dream to be the best that they can be. However, like many celebrity stars, unfortunately, they all come crashing down, sometimes by their own fault, others not so much. In this book, I attempted to highlight certain things. We go in depth into both of his trials in 2017 and 2018, respectively. What if I told you that these criminal trials were politically motivated by an overzealous district attorney? Will you also be shocked to learn the attacks on Mr. Cosby did not start in 2014, but also in the 90s, not long after his attempted quest to purchase a major network? From where did all of these allegations of sexual misconduct come from? Were the accusers telling the truth? In the 2 years of research, with some help from others interested in learning the truth and facts about this case, we discussed both the legal reasons why his prosecution and trial were illegal, unwarranted, and also the possible personal motives as to why this may have occurred. Most importantly, we warn about the dangers of prejudice and why trial by social media, or mainstream media rather, should never be the norm. All this and more in The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in America. Available on Amazon this fall in Kindle and paperback format.
whoever you are, wherever you are. I hope you are blessed and doing safe. Greetings, family. If you're tuning in, the place to be is right here with me on channel G2786. It is Gavin Richard Presents, and it is our Random Topic Thursdays, the hottest live stream on YouTube right now. And of course, we have on with us our special guest, our brother and friend, Mr. Shawn James, the author of The Man Crisis. Shawn, good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Gavin. How are you this evening?
I'm doing fine, brother. Doing fine. Everybody, first, I want you to go to the Facebook page and subscribe to at Commonwealth Cause. That is the page for our book on the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby, the destruction of due process in the United States, which is coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, I would also like for you all to support our brother Shawn James. Shawn, you can do a plug-in right now if you'd like.
All right. I have some great books that are part of the SJS Direct 2021 catalog, and those include John Haynes' Taking Care of Business, ISIS Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, E-Steam Cancel Vacation, and a nonfiction book, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. And you can find all of those books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com, along with the other 75 books I have written and published on the SJS Direct imprint. All of these books are great gifts for members of your family who want to read some positive Black fiction in various genres like fantasy, um, women's fiction, and romance and nonfiction. I have lots of great titles on Amazon.com, and I'm hoping everybody goes out and picks them up this holiday season.
Most definitely, most definitely. Now, let us, ladies and gentlemen, discuss what the topics are. And you can pick up those books on Amazon.com for Shawn. Our book, The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby, will actually be available via Amazon, which you can buy on paperback and Kindle. I know I keep talking about it coming soon, and it's coming this fall. Of course, it's just been tied up with my legal department, ladies and gentlemen, but it is coming soon. Rest assured that. Our topics for tonight are as follows. Biden announces no plans to relieve student loan debt. Coach Deion Sanders making big moves. Top recruit in nation commits to JSU. The Kim Potter trial. We'll also be talking about this Lafayette City Court judge, Judge Michelle Odinet, who got in trouble for saying, you know what, I talked about this on Tuesday. And of course, last but not least, in no particular order, James Brown's catalog sold for $90 million. The boss is asking for $500 million. You guys know, and Shawn knows who the boss is for those of my millennials, the nickname of that musician. All this and more, ladies and gentlemen, on tonight's channel, GBoo2786. We ask if you would please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Uh, that is where you can buy Shawn's books on via Amazon. And also, if you'd like to contribute to tonight's channel, the platform, it is Gavin Richard Esquire via Cash App, the Google Pay, and PayPal have my emails, and there is Zelle right there at the bottom, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, without further ado, let us also ask you, if you could, another way you can support me is by going to our website for our Creole seasoning blend, known as CreoleBlends.com. I saw a few people did indeed purchase their bottle, and you will be getting those in the mail. I will be mailing those off to you all very soon. Of course, Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com, Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com. Our motto is try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nawny's goes great with every dish, including turkey. So get that for the holiday season while you still can. Guys, Shawn, I saw you didn't order yours yet. Oh, you said you would, but you got to get it.
Well, I'm about to order it. I might order two because of the shipping.
Sure. All right. Well, don't worry about. Yeah, sure. We'll go ahead and get you some.
I'll order two. So this time I'm going to order two.
All right. No doubt. Also, ladies and gentlemen, my man Shawn, I always love supporting his work, and we support each other because that's what Black media, Black YouTube content creators must do. Also, check out Video Soul. Of course, you all know your brother is a musician, and I have some songs that I have written, like Video Soul and Gotta Get On Up. This is my latest single, as you can see. That's the latest on here. And of course, we have our theme song, Gotta Get On Up. So, as always, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to get on up as we have gotten on down, guys. Before we get on down, let us get on up. I know I didn't say that correctly starting off, but let's just go ahead and play the music, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be back.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, cause on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on Earth, Wind, and Fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so, if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up, baby. Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up, baby. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Groove, get on the floor. Get on up. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Gavin Richard Presents. And let's bring in Shawn James in. Shawn, it's always good to have you in, brother.
I'm always glad to be here.
All right. So shall we begin, ladies and gentlemen? I guess we'll start with this topic. Now, I had talked about this on my last live stream, Shawn, and I'm sure you probably have heard what's been going on, but we have a judge from Lafayette City Court. Of course, this had to come from my home state of Louisiana. And she was caught, of course, saying, you know what, and blamed a sedative, or as Marty Feldman said in Young Frankenstein, give him a sedative. She blames a sedative for saying, you know what. Now,
Why the lights
when I pull up, preference for everybody will know, she was the victim, and this is true. Her family was the victim of a burglary, armed burglary, or robbery that was taking place, and they were looking at the security camera footage. Now, I'm going to play the video. I'm going to play another video to give an update about what's going on, and I'm going to get Shawn to do his thoughts because you already have heard mine. But I want to hear Shawn's.
Mom goes, why are the lights here? When I pull up in the whip, they be saying, God damn.
Why are your lights on? They're like, pull up.
And mom's yelling, nigger, nigger.
Oh, Ken, we have a nigger. It's a nigger. Like a roach.
Look, that's me. No, I came from the backside.
Look, he trips over the He trips twice. He trips twice.
I was the only one running. That's me. Kenny was standing. I'm the one that took him down. Kenny's just standing there.
He lied. That wasn't Smollett.
Yeah. That's my phone where it fell out.
Look, Mom. The dude had a phone on him. You should have taken his phone and stolen from him, that fucking asshole.
And now I'm going to grab a gun.
Go and get the gun.
It's important. Very important.
As me and Austin maintain control of the situation.
The great thing is we've got video. They've got Look, they're with the car. Wait, look. There's Rebel. There's Rebel. What a great bitch. This is watch.
Mom goes, why are the lights here? When I pull up in the whip, they be saying, God damn.
Why are your lights on? They're like, pull up.
And mom's yelling, nigger, nigger.
Oh, Ken, we have a nigger. It's a nigger. Like a roach.
Look, that's me. No, I came from the backside.
Look, he trips over the He trips twice. He trips twice.
I was the only one running. That's me. Kenny was standing. I'm the one that took him down. Kenny's just standing there.
He lied. That wasn't Smollett.
Yeah. That's my phone where it fell out.
Now,
Look, Mom.
I'm gonna
The
stop.
dude
the
had a
video.
phone on him. You should have taken his phone and stolen from him, that fucking asshole.
And now I'm going to grab a gun.
Go and get the gun.
It's important. Very important.
As me and Austin maintain control of the situation.
The great thing is we've got video.
All right. So that's the video. And let me just show it with everybody. Now, some update. It says she's to the judge, Michelle Odinet. This is from WWL TV. Put that copyright disclaimer up for me, please, Darius or Black Voltron. Judge Michelle Odinet to take leave of absence over racial slur.
Yes, city court judge heard in a video using racial slurs. Tonight, her attorney says she will take a leave of absence without pay. They added that Michelle Odinet is, quote, humiliated, embarrassed, and sorry for what she has done and the trouble that she's caused the community. Again, she will take a leave without pay immediately and will consider what's next in the coming weeks. Odinet admitted that the voice heard in the video is her voice. She said she and her family were the victims of an armed robbery at their home Saturday, but Odinet said at the time of the video she was on a sedative and has no recollection of the recording or the language used in it. According to Lafayette Police Sergeant Paul Mouton, no weapon was found on the alleged burglar at the time of that arrest. Now, prior to her election as city court judge, Odinet was a prosecutor for both the Orleans and Lafayette Parish DA's offices.
Now, this is someone who serves as a judge in position of judgment of other people. Forget taking a leave of absence. She needs to be removed. Now, y'all have heard my opinion. I'm going to get Brother Shawn's, but I want to play one more video. I have not seen this, but this is some commentary from...
It wasn't me. It was the pills.
WSA.
That is actually what Louisiana Judge Michelle Odinet is claiming after a video of people in her home displaying their familiarity with and joyous use of the N-word came to light. The video shows a big screen TV playing closed-circuit footage of two men apprehending an alleged burglary suspect in her driveway. We can't see who's talking, but we can hear their narrations, which sound like a couple of wannabe comedians I once heard auditioning for Def Comedy Jam. Part of me wants to play the footage, let you experience the rancidness for yourselves, but I'm not going to put you through it. It's too foul and too early in the evening. But the N-words and curse words flow like water, along with a lot of laughter. They were having a good time. Maybe that's why they filmed themselves saying filth like mom's yelling N-word, N-word, and we have an N-word. It's an N-word, like a roach. And a female voice saying, the dude had a phone on him. I should have taken his phone from him, that effing a-hole. Now, we don't know exactly who is speaking, but we do know Judge Foulmouth is actually a mom of 4 nearly grown teen twin.
All right, I got to stop him right there because we do know it's her because she admitted it. I got to correct the brother on that. She does admit that that's her on the video. So we know that for a fact. So once you admit to that, that's it. That's it. I'm going to finish the video and then Shawn, get your thoughts.
Boys. Was it their auditioning? On Monday, Odinet released a statement saying that she and the kids were victims of an armed burglary at her home. By the way, police found no weapons on the suspect. And she was shaken by the incident. She took a sedative and has no memory of the video or the language in it. And of course, it's contrary, naturally contrary to the way that they live their lives. Yeah, she went full Roseanne Barr. But what about the others? Were they on the sedatives too? There have already been calls for her resignation from the bench, and I'm adding my voice to them right now. Let me say it clearly. There's no way she can continue in her seat. She asked for understanding and forgiveness, and this is what goes on in her home. How can any defendant of color believe that they'll receive either? Or more importantly, impartial justice with her on the bench? She asked for prayers, mine are reserved for the black people in her court, hoping that she sees them as human beings and not as insects. And the fact that she would rather hold on to her claim to power than have even a moment of thought or concern for those defendants in light of the video, which should be disqualifying in itself. She cannot be trusted to adjudicate cases fairly. She's got to go. And don't think past defendants won't be calling for their cases to be reviewed. I would. How can you deny them? I mean, they probably will because it's Louisiana, but how could a sane, fair society deny that claim? And the fact that she blames it on Ambien makes me question the judgment that raised her to this position in society in the first place.
You had to say it's Louisiana. Okay, it is. I should say different people, especially Lafayette community members from the mayor's office, the state senator, Gerald Boudreaux, the city marshal, Reggie Thomas, a black man, and Josh Guillory, the mayor of Lafayette, as well as the local NAACP president of Lafayette, Michael Toussaint. They've all called for some type of, for the removal of this judge, the NFCA. That's not, you know who that is. Scam Master J, as Tariq Nasheed calls him. He even wrote something. Shawn, go ahead, and I've given my thoughts. I want to hear yours, brother.
I have to say, after listening to the video, this woman does not sound like she is on any sort of sedative, because I have taken sedatives to deal with anxiety, and I can tell you that you're very drowsy. This person is extremely excited and animated, so this is not a drug influencing her behavior at all. No, this is this woman who is a racist, and this racist was felt like she had the ability to just go out here and say this audacious statements and these racial slurs because she felt like no one was going to hold her accountable. She thought she was going to be able to slip this by because she was in a conversation with people who knew she was a racist. But when the audio got out, what she wanted to do was try to spin the story that she wasn't a racist, but she is a racist and someone who is not fit to sit on a bench as a judge. This woman's racist statements show that she is not fit for the bench, and she is not have the ability to be objective in cases as related to blacks and people of color.
Well, you're right about that. No doubt about that. Go ahead, Shawn. You finished?
So I'm not finished yet. This woman, she's trying to spin the story and try to make it out like she was on this medication. And she's also trying to make herself out to be a victim. Yes, one of the things you have to watch out for with these white females is that they try to make turn the story around whenever they get caught doing something wrong and make it out like they're some sort of victim. And that's where the leave of absence comes in, where she's trying to make it look like, oh, I'm so victimized, but no, we just saw the truth about who you are. We saw the truth about what type of character you have. And we're seeing more and more this trend as related to what people call these Karens and these white and non-black females showing their racism. And they're showing their racism because they believe that they have the support of the so-called dominant in society. in getting protection. And that's why they feel so emboldened to go out here and express their racism so openly. Before, they knew that there were consequences for their actions, and we really need to start establishing consequences for the actions of women like this, to show them that there is a line they're going to be held to. And we really need people to hold these type of women to the line and get this woman off the bench, because we have to set a standard in our communities as related to dealing with racists. Because what we're seeing right now in our so-called progressive America is that racism is progressing, and it's progressing because you have white women like this who teach a culture and promote a culture of white supremacy and racism as the norm. And we have to start pushing back and try to push these people out of office, because if you have people like this in power, they're going to create interpretations of law that promote anti-Black racism.
Lafayette's newest city judge, Odinet, beat District Court Judge Jules Edwards to win that seat. This will be Odinet's first time serving on the bench.
Cannot wait to start working on the Veterans Court. Other programs help these individuals who are unemployed, give them the skills and help show them how to get a job, as opposed to telling them to get a job. That's a big thing that I think will help a lot of those individuals that end up in city court.
Odinet credits her victory to the people who helped her campaign. KATC political analyst Dr. Pearson Cross says strong partisan politics in Lafayette carried Odinet to victory.
Republicans have quite a majority here. Michelle Odinet ran as a Republican. Her opponent ran as a no party, but it was widely known that he used to be a Democrat, I believe. So it was, in my view, just a partisan kind of question.
Mayor President.
That aged wonderfully, didn't it? That didn't age that good. And damn, what was up with those sisters' eyebrows? That was drawn in. Damn, that distracted me looking at the video. I thought that looked like bat wings coming at you. Arch. Wee. I'm in rare form tonight. I'm sorry. Yeah. So a lot of people have spoken out on this. Even Governor John Bel Edwards has called for Odinet to resign.
The answer is yes. And I know that the judge has taken a period of unpaid leave to reflect on what her next move should be. And I believe she has all but acknowledged that the words uttered in that video were hers. And quite frankly, there's no place for that kind of language, especially among members of the judiciary who have the most important role in administering justice in our state. And there's a practical problem too. I believe that you would see perhaps all, if she were not to resign, perhaps all of the litigants before her who were African American would seek her recusal. And I'm not sure that she has a valid basis for denying that recusal. And so there is no efficient administration of justice if she stays on the bench. So it would be my hope that this period of reflection that she's going through will lead her to that same conclusion. I believe she should resign. I hope she will conclude that for herself.
Yeah, so that's Governor John Bel Edwards here in Louisiana. He's saying that she should step down. So the consensus is overwhelming. And probably will be a matter of time she will resign. But, if she does not, then the state judiciary committee, the Judiciary Committee on Ethics here, can remove her. Here's the thing, someone asked, can you be disbarred? We do have something in Louisiana under our Code of Ethics of Professionalism, and we also look at character and fitness of an individual before they're admitted to a bar. You have to pay fees and so forth to have a background check. And that's because they want to look at all of your information and who is coming in to serve as a lawyer, an officer of the court. So there is no law, however, being against of a person being racist, unfortunately. There are laws against discrimination. You can have an opinion on something. We have freedom of speech that is guaranteed in the First Amendment. But if you're talking about serving in a position where you're judging someone where African American defendants, black defendants are going to go in front of your court, and you are going to basically have their life in their hands, in your hands. It will go through the back of the mind of any black defendant that goes in that court realizing whether or not I'm going to get a fair shake. It's no different than when we go to these courthouses and we saw some of these Confederate monuments, even though they've been there for years. So her cases can certainly be called into review. We had something like that actually at the start of last year. Former Judge Jussie LeBlanc, the 23rd JDC, in a case I actually worked on, a civil case. I won't say too much about it, but she was actually charged with, she was actually caught sending text messages to her lover, and she publicly admitted this, to calling a deputy the N-word, calling him a nigger and so forth, and saying nasty, vile things about him. That stuff has happened. So she had to step down, and the district attorney's office and the defense attorney's office out in the 23rd JDC, they both, I believe, filed motions to have the cases reviewed, because how could anyone get a fair trial in that court if she harbors such disdain for black people by saying that? So yes, it can be reviewed. Let me also say, and I don't know if Shawn, if you want to have a closing remark, you can go ahead.
Well, I've said all I wanted to say. I mean, this woman just needs to be taken off the bench. She is not fit for the bench, and she's shown that she cannot be objective. If she can't be objective and is using racial slurs like this, she needs to be removed from the bench, because that behavior is unbecoming a judge, and it just shows that if she gets black defendants in front of her, she is going to have bias towards them.
Most definitely. Hit that like, share, subscribe button, guys, and donate to the Cash App. And yeah, the fact that she wanted to blame a sedative, I don't know a sedative that could do that. Marijuana is a sedative. It don't make nobody racist. That's just a lame excuse. She would have done better just saying, yeah, I said it. This is how I feel about y'all. I'd have more respect for her, although I'd hope her kidney malfunctioned. But that's just me. And I know she's still a judge, and I have to be respectful and all of this crap. Somebody will file a complaint. The devil made me do it. That's perfect, Darius. Yeah, Flip Wilson. All right, let's move on. I said I hope a kidney mouth. I don't wish death on anybody, but I'm being facetious. All right, Shawn, I gotta ask you something.
All right.
Have you seen, Beyonce's mother, Tina Knowles?
I know of her.
You didn't see her Instagram post, right?
No, I have not.
You have not. Okay. Well, Tina Knowles, the mother of Beyonce and Solange Knowles, who's a former fashion designer. She's also married to Matthew Lawson, the actor from movies like Poltergeist. He's also the daughter. His daughter, she was in Bones. By the way, they're related to she's related somehow to the Gordy family. I believe that's her grandparents or something like that. So all of that music family and stuff, everybody is tied in some way, shape, or form somehow. But at any rate, yeah, I'm talking about Matthew Lawson's daughter. So her stepmother is Beyonce's mom. Tina Knowles said that in light of Jussie Smollett's recent conviction, she asked, would the actor get the same compassion as Amy Cooper? Now, those of you who know who Amy Cooper was, she was the Central Park Karen back in May of 2020 who made headlines by falsely calling the police on a black bird watcher in New York City. She was claiming he was threatening her, and it was all recorded. The charges were dropped after Christian Cooper refused to testify against her. She was charged with a misdemeanor for falsely calling 911, but nothing happened. Knowles Lawson wrote that the woman who called the police and lied about the black man that was bird watching in Central Park was trying to attack her, leading to the potential arrest of the man, wherein the history of black men in custody could have led to his death. Amy Cooper got off with public service. Elsewhere, the famous mom expressed that although she doesn't condone what Smollett did, I am just asking, will he get the same compassion and understanding of knowingly lying to police? Kyle Rittenhouse walked free after killing 2 people because the jury had compassion. And people, of course, agreed with her, saying ninjas lie daily, no one died. Another person commented, not only that, but Amy Cooper had the audacity to sue her employer for firing her. Shawn, what are your thoughts on Mama Tina here?
I'm deeply disgusted by the statements that Tina Knowles has made because they minimize the value of Black life. I mean, it was really bad that Christian Cooper, that coward, minimized Black
Yes.
life by going out here and saying that, oh, I'm going to give Amy Cooper a pass. But now we got some buck dancing and tap dancing from Tina Knowles in an effort to give Jussie Smollett a pass. And I can't give Jussie Smollett a pass because he clearly betrayed the Black community when he went out here and staged this incident in an effort to try to generate controversy at the expense of Black lives, because he didn't care about the consequences of his actions. All he cared about was getting his name out here in the press and getting attention for himself in the press. And that's why your Juicy Jussie needs to be punished by the law and the fullest extent of the law, because just like the Central Park Karen, he was looking to take Black lives and put them at risk. And we need to have a consistent standard if we want to show that Black life matters in this country. And we need to have a consistent standard that we set for it. What's sad here is that every time we get to set a standard for Black life, we have a bunch of buck dancing, tap dancing cowards who want to devalue Black life, like your bootlick Christian Cooper, who went out here and said he would not cooperate with the prosecution of Amy Cooper. And now we've got some more buck dancing, tap dancing celebrities like your Tina Knowles and many others who I've seen online looking to give Jussie Smollett a pass. No, I cannot give Jussie Smollett a pass because he didn't care about Black life. He betrayed the Black community, and he wanted to get his 30 shekels of silver at the expense of the Black community by talking about this incident where he said he was attacked by MAGA supporters, which could have set off a riot in our polarized society where you have a lot of these Trump supporters on one side and you have these Black Lives Matter far leftists on the other. And a lot of brothers and sisters could have gotten caught in the middle as a result of this behavior. And he just doesn't care. And we have to hold him accountable. And we have to hold him accountable in order to set a standard for ourselves that shows that Black life matters to us, because we can't have people coming into our community telling lies and then thinking that, oh, I can get away with it, and then try to use white people do it too as the argument, because that's what they're trying to do here. Use the white people do it too. No, it's not acceptable for anyone to go out here and try to use race as a way to hustle and try to say that something happened as related to a racist incident. It's not right or even ethical for somebody to say, okay, I was a victim of a bias or a violent bias, race crime, hate crime, and then we're going to give him a pass because he's some sort of celebrity. No, we have to hold him to a standard, and we have to make this the standard, because as I see it, your Jussie Smollett is somebody who needs to be booted out of the Black community because he's a traitor to the Black community. And those who support Jussie Smollett are traitors to the Black community. And when I look at Black Hollywood, they are showing us that they are not about us. It is all about them. And they're showing us that they're nothing more than another extension of the media arm of white supremacy.
Well, I think, and I understand what people are saying when they say, well, white people get away with committing far harsher, far worse crimes, which, yes, that is true to a degree. when you, and yes, Amy Cooper, she should have been prosecuted. But again, the problem was you had a punk sellout who, by the way, is part of the alphabet community as Jussie, that did not want to press charges. That's why she got off. Had he been inclined to actually go and testify, which he should have done, then likely she would have been prosecuted and found guilty. Now, she probably would not have done jail time. And to be real and realistic as an attorney myself, people do lie to the police all the time. It is not something that is absolutely correct. And police officers lie too about stuff. I've had it happen to me. It goes on. That being said, Jussie Smollett deserved everything that happened to him, guys. And I have to say this. The reason being, you got to also remember this. He used the media and press to hype up his career. He used this incident. And keep in mind, he used this incident so that he could be the gay Tupac. He even said that himself. I'm the gay Tupac, right? So by doing that, you drew attention to yourself, knowing it was a lie. It backfired on you. You cost the city of Chicago thousands of dollars. And looking into this case, because remember, this was a news story. And mind you, they weren't looking for the Trump supporters because, and I'm going to say this, not because he was black, it was because of the LGBTQ thing. Do you agree, Shawn? You think it had more to do with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly did. Because all the stuff they were talking about, remember, they were pushing all of these anti-lynching bills that like Kamala Harris even had proposed. That was for, I remember when this was happening, that was for LGBTQ. That's what they were adding at that time. They were trying to get it through the Senate. I distinctly remember this. And as a victim myself of a hate crime, I'm offended by what he did because it makes it even harder for other people, for gay people who experience hate crime, and for black people who experience a hate crime. It makes it much harder for them to be believed. What he did, yeah, Nino. I get Nino is saying what he did was dumb, but I won't be cheering for him to get punished harshly either. They'll gladly do that because he's black, whether he realizes it or not. I'm sorry. Well, I'm to the point where it is what it is, but this is something he added, so I'm not caping for him. I'm not going to cape for him either. This is not the same. Look, it's not the same thing as what happened. I'm not saying anybody is, but what happened with Bill Cosby. That man was railroaded. This man got attention. I'm not saying no one is saying that, but I'm just saying, but this man got attention. He messed up, got caught, and the city of Chicago, they made an example out of him. Now, under normal circumstances, if he wasn't a celebrity, and I wouldn't call him an A-list celebrity, but he was on a very popular show, and he got his 15 minutes of fame. He comes from a family that has been in the business for 30-something years. That Smollett family, ever since they were kids, they came in, acting in TV shows. They had their own show at one time. I think you remember that, Shawn.
Called On Our Own.
On Our Own,
I think
right.
in 1989, 1990.
No,
I think it's 90s. It was 90s.
It was in the 90s. It was produced by the same Miller Boyette.
Yeah.
Didn't last long. And
lasted one season.
Yeah.
First, another show with a black man in a dress.
Oh, yeah. Ralph
Lewis Harris.
Ralph Lewis Harris. Yeah. He played the aunt and stuff like that. Yeah. I didn't think anything of it. I'm thinking about all of this stuff, man. When you're older, when your kid is different. Because, I still laugh at In Living Color with Jamie Foxx's Wanda. I'm not going to lie. It was funny. Now I look at it just from what everybody is saying, and looking at it, what I know, because even they put Wesley Snipes in the dress, and Wesley was a hot action star. I was like, damn, not Brother Wesley.
They always try to emasculate heterosexual black men.
I agree with y'all. The law needs to be applied equally. But you know what? He should have known better, especially being a black man, what was going to happen if he got caught. That was a risk. You don't go and jump into you don't jump into the pen where the polar bears are, and when a polar bear bites your ass and as you eats half your body, go say, I didn't expect that. And you know what's messed up about this? It's going to affect his family. His family, who are actors and actresses, his sister, Janae, who's a good actress.
It's going to keep them from getting work.
Well, yeah.
He's blacklisted at this point. His name is mud. He's never going to work again. Nobody can trust him.
You know, he was in that movie. He was in the Alien movie.
Yeah.
He was in the last Alien movie. Yeah, you got to know better. Plot Man said at least Wesley was in a dress with the white and Latino. I didn't even like it when Patrick Swayze had it on. He went from Roadhouse to Drag House. He went from next of kin to pass me my tin with my knits and needles inside of it. Man. The ghost wearing a dress. Yeah. Yeah, his sister, she was in a Birds of Prey movie. And I think she still signed on to do that. I think she signed on to do some other stuff. Remember, she was in the Lovecraft Country television show. That got canceled just after 1 year, and it was popular. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, Shawn disagrees. We're gonna agree to disagree with everybody. I get what everybody is saying. Phantom said that xenomorph got Juicy good. Hey, Juicy, you could report that. Juicy would have done better reporting the xenomorph that got him. Ripley. Yeah, she was on Underground. That lasted 1 year. She was also on The Defenders. That lasted 1 year. All right. We're going to move on. So I want to talk about this, Shawn. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Prime. I got to call him by his actual moniker. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, is making some splashes in the college football arena. Now, those of you who know who Coach Prime is, who's Coach Prime, of course you know who he is. Obviously, one of the greatest football players of all time, arguably the greatest cornerback to ever play the game. He is coaching Jackson State University. And Jackson State, of course, is a historically black college and university. And Deion has taken that team. They've actually won the SWAC championship recently. And they're on to play for the National Black College Championship. But Deion did something that has gotten a lot of people pissed off. And that is on National Signing Day, which was yesterday. He got a commitment from this young brother named Travis Hunter, a top college football recruit, top student high school football player. He got him to commit to Jackson State, passing away from Georgia, FSU, and Auburn. And your mainstream media or lamestream media is very upset over this because, of course, HBCUs, I would say, for the last 50 plus years, there's been a decline, a starting decline, especially I would say, in the 70s, where your HBCUs were, of course, a beacon where many of the top players and athletes would go. And you got to realize that they would go there because schools back then, like Alabama and LSU, were highly segregated, especially in the 60s. It didn't change until Bear Bryant got the first black player to play for Alabama in the mid 60s. He decided to do that when USC had all of these black players, and they realized how great and dominant the brothers were. They started to bring them over there, and of course, more and more people started to come there. Blacks, the players started to go there because why, Shawn? They thought they could get more money, recruitment, more exposure. And it certainly has that, because we know that a lot of the HBCU games, they're not televised on national television, maybe with the exception of Bayou Classic. They used to be on NBC straight. And I think they just finally started that again, because they put it on NBC Sports Channel. But this is Travis Hunter.
Oh, this is real good too, but that ain't much. This is real good too. I'm gonna say that for later. But I like this one. It fit me well, but that ain't who I want.
That brother's a cornerback.
But check me out, Mark. Look at that hat.
Now, this is the top cornerback in the country. And there are already rumors flying around. People were complaining about this, Shawn, about Deion. Supposedly, this young man got paid out to be here. Deion Sanders downplayed that, said, we didn't pay top recruit to flip. We ain't got no money.
Yeah.
We didn't pay. Sanders said, we ain't got no money. We ain't got no money. And that is true to a degree. I'm going to play the clip.
You know, as a African-American.
Let me also put that copyright disclaimer up for us, please. This is being shared this is fair use. It's for commentary purposes only. It's for news and commentary.
Head coach, somebody with your pedigree at an HBCU. When this goes down, there's a lot of flack from the old guard about NIL and just pay them any amounts of money and all this kind of stuff.
We ain't got no
go
money.
to a school like,
We ain't got no money.
Can you just address all the stupidity out there for me, please?
$1.5 million. I heard $1.5 million, and I heard Dave Morton over Barstool. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard. You know what that is? That means we kicked your butt. We took what was ours, and now you got to make up an excuse why. Ain't nobody get no $1.5 million. I wouldn't pay my son $1.5 million. How I'm gonna coach a guy that's making more than me?
Hey, you were wrong. You know how it is, man. You much like you just said, Prime. You beat them at their own game. So now the only way to do is try to smear. It's like a smear campaign in politics.
Exactly.
You win, they lose. So now they want to attack your credibility and your character, who you are as a football coach of a major university. I want you to tell me a little bit about Travis's ability on the football field and how he compared to some of those that you've been around in high school and everything else.
This kid, you know, Jay, just like if you saw somebody, you know, dribbling and shooting and doing their thing, he got that it, and he got that 1-2. Yeah. You know that he got that when it's in his hands. He's electric. When he's in the secondary, he's aggressive, good skill set, technique is adequate. You know, we got to tune it to fine tune it. But I can't wait to see him on grass so I can see really what he is. You know, he's both ways now and doing a superb job, and I plan on using him that way. But I can't wait to see really what he is. But when I tell you he got that it, he got that it.
When Primes endorses you, oh, you got to be good. You got to be good if Prime is endorsing you. So, well, here's the thing. So, yeah, a lot of the old vanguard are upset with Deion Sanders over this. And Deion has made some power moves. One of the things he did I liked was he had Brittany Renner come to Jackson State and speak to the athletes. Basically, and I mean, at this point, she's admitting what she is. She is what she is. She's a gold digger. She's a shark. She's a cougar. She's on that campus to get young men who are in the sports field. And let's be real, when they say Jackson State, that whole thing was a lie. HBCUs don't have no money. State-funded schools, they actually cut their funding. So how they gonna pay this kid money to come to Jackson State? They can't even put the names on the kids' jerseys. Biggest mistake, I think, and I'm a Southern man. I'm a graduate of Southern. I really thought Southern, when in this football offseason, they should have followed Jackson State's model and Tennessee State by getting a big professional athlete. Particular, I would have picked Aeneas Williams to be the football coach for Southern, but that didn't happen. But Shawn, what are your thoughts about this? What you're seeing?
What I'm seeing with Coach Sanders is that he is showing great skill with networking and building relationships, which is something we need in the Black community. And he's done a great job here undercutting all of those top universities to bring a top talent to the school. So this is really going to help the school really to improve the quality of his football team. And it just shows how strong a leader your Coach Sanders is outside of the playing field. And it also shows how he has just great interpersonal skills and great leadership skills. And that's something many in the top school, these top colleges and universities don't really like seeing. They don't like seeing that a Black man is out here and he can use his social skills and his mouthpiece to go out here and build and foster relationships with top talent. And they don't like the idea of Black men coming together and working together. That's one of the things they don't like seeing is here you have a Black coach going out here recruiting Black talent, and that Black talent wants to play for a Black school instead of join the NFL slave plantation. So that's what they really are upset about, that you have a Black coach going out here and recruiting Black talent, which is starting to create the bridge for Black empowerment. And if he stays on that road, he'll be focused on concepts like group economics. And this is something that the dominant does not like to see, because what they want their players to be are these plantation bucks who go out here and play football for white coaches, then go into the white-owned NFL. They make a bunch of money on him, but he does not keep any wealth for himself. But when you have Coach Sanders recruiting Black talent, taking them to a Black school, it's taking them on the road to Black empowerment. And that's something that they don't like seeing, is Black people working with other Black people. And they don't like seeing Black men, especially straight Black men, coming together to form brotherhoods and where they can foster leadership and teach this type of character to other Black men, because iron sharpens iron. And when you're playing for a Black coach, that's really going to sharpen iron, and it's going to teach you the value of Black manhood and Black masculinity. And that is something that many of your white coaches don't want to see. So that's why they're all upset and butthurt, because they see that your Coach Sanders is starting to create a platform for Black empowerment.
Let me say this. Willie Brown for the Oakland Raiders, Grambling State University Hall of Famer. Aeneas Williams, Southern University Hall of Famer. Mel Blount, Southern University Hall of Famer. You also have the Super Bowl champion Doug Williams, who went to Grambling. You have, at one point, the NFL's all-time leading rusher, Walter Payton, who went to Mississippi Valley. Walter Payton graduated from, I don't want to give the, Columbia. I'm sorry, went to high school in Columbia. And he graduated from Jackson State, JSU, where Deion coaches. Then it was Jerry Rice, who went to Mississippi Valley State. Who a Hall of Famer, the greatest wide receiver in NFL history. So the point being, there's nothing wrong with going to an HBCU, by no means, and no stretch of the imagination. It can be done, and you can produce. And Deion Sanders is setting examples. He's actually taking a position where HBCUs were left in the ringer. as you could speak. It was not given the respect and authority that it once was, and he's restoring some of that, and they are big mad about it. So I'm happy that Coach Prime is doing that.
Yep, he's showing that black leadership is prime time, and it's prime time for black men to start taking leadership roles like he's doing.
Yeah, most definitely. We'll see if Hugh Jackson comes to Grambling. Yeah, when Hugh back, he could definitely bring some attention to Grambling State University. I wish Southern would have followed note, gotten somebody like Aeneas, but it is what it is. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, family. Yeah, Steve McNair, Air McNair from Alcorn. I hated how Steve McNair died, man. That was bad. Don't forget Willie Davis, who also came from Grambling. I think Grambling has the record for most players that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Yes, indeed. HBCUs had the big booty girls. Chunky, looking for them girls with the big old hoops. Like up down in Daisy Dukes. I wanna get down, yeah. No, I'm trying to recruit. I'm looking at you, baby. Chunky. All right, let me stop. If you all want to advertise with me, go to gavin.rich1@gmail.com for rates, and also go to the Patreon. We are cooking it up with Shawn James. You go to his Cash App and support our brother. You can also go to my Cash App and support me, since this channel is not monetized. It would be fun if you all could do that, ladies and gentlemen. Donate to the Cash App or to the PayPal. I'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave a little jingle in my stocking for Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. So, Shawn, let us move on. As we know now, this Kim Potter trial that's been going on. Of course, Kim Potter is a former Brockman Center police officer who killed Dante Wright, who's a 20-year-old black man who was shot. If those of you remember, he was pulled over, and this was during the George Floyd. I shouldn't say George Floyd trial, because he was not on trial, but the Derek Chauvin trial in his murder of George Floyd. And your Kim Potter fired a weapon and killed your Dante Wright. And I've talked about this on Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, but I want to play for you. So the prosecutors have rested their case, I believe, today. And there was testimony from the likes of Dante Wright's father and a few other individuals. Now, Shawn, this is day 7 of the case today. Shawn, have you been following the case?
I have not been following it. I've been real busy, so I have not really been following it like I should. I mean, I've been busy with so much stuff.
Right. Well, this is Dante's father, Aubrey Wright, who testified.
What was Dante's role as the older brother to younger girls?
His role to the younger girls, the big brother, to look after them, watch after them.
And what was his relationship like with his younger sisters growing up?
The relationship with the younger sisters was like a big brother. Joked a lot, always constantly following behind them, making sure they were okay.
And did you and your wife, Katie, and your children, Dante and Diamond and Destiny, all live together up until Dante's death?
Yes, we did.
What kinds of things did you and your family do together for fun to pass the time?
Well, we got together every Sunday we would have cookouts and stuff like that. Family days, I mean, we would do movies and stuff like that. We did a lot of things as a family, as a group, because we're like all we have. So
cookouts, he said?
Cookouts constantly every Sunday, every weekend, pretty much.
Did Dante have any favorite foods?
Well, yeah, he did. He liked chicken, I guess. We all did. So.
Is that a family favorite at the cookouts?
Excuse me?
Was chicken a family favorite at the cookouts?
Oh, yeah. Yes. And so he went and asked my boss, is it okay if my dad sends me home? And I'm like, my boss like, yeah, he's your boss. And I'm like, well, you need to go home. And I come out in the hallway and he's still there. And I'm like, well, why are you still here? And he's like, well, Dad, I rode with you. I couldn't go home because you're my ride. I think it's funny, but yeah, that was a funny thing that happened at work.
So not only were you working together, but you were driving to and from work together?
Every day, yeah.
You got to spend
those
some quality
questions,
time
they're
together.
trying to frame,
spend a lot
you know,
of
in
time
fairness, the questions, those are asking, someone said it's a dumb question. No, Norma, what they're trying to do is portray Dante in a positive light. That this is his father that's testified, his mother has testified, his girlfriend has testified. So they're trying to talk about him as a person. This is the prosecutor. Now, of course, the defense tried to bring in evidence of prior bad acts, particular his behavior and so forth, his criminal charges. That's what they try to do. They tried to shame the victim because she's alleging she was right in using deadly force and actually making a factual error. She just picked up her gun instead of the taser. Now she's had the defense expert who testified saying he backed her decision on deadly force because he was going back in the car and she could have been pulled or any of the officers been pulled. But then there was a use of force expert for the prosecutor who said she was not justified. So I'm going to play that in a little bit, but I'm just going to play Dante's dad.
All right, there's a picture on the screen now. It's Exhibit 240. Could you just explain to the jury what's shown in this picture? Take a minute if you need one.
Picture of me and Dante. You see how you know, I was holding him. See how we had a close relationship. He was my wife's first child.
And was this picture at your home?
Yes.
Was this not long before he passed away?
Right before he passed away.
If we could put on the screen Exhibit 3, please. That's already been admitted. Did your son Dante also have a son of his own?
Yes.
And
First and only child. That's my grandson, Dante Jr.
And your grandson's name you said is Dante Jr.?
Yes.
How was it seeing your son Dante as a father?
Excuse me.
How was it to see your son as a father?
And to see him as a father, it was like I was so happy for him because he was so happy. He was so happy about Junior. And it was my chance to be a grandfather.
Did they have a close relationship?
Yes.
And did Dante Jr. spend a lot of time with your family as well?
Yeah. Dante Jr., you know, Dante lived with us. Junior was pretty much there every day.
Now, I'm not going to play the rest of the video because I got to get to other clips, but the defense expert testified today, and yesterday I'm going to play the expert for the prosecutors.
Warning given by former Officer Potter, I'll tase you.
Now, that's a defense witness. He's not an expert.
Reasonable.
Yes, so that's a standard warning. You just communicate in plain English.
It's a standard. That is what they're taught to do.
Yes, sir. I'll taser you. You just tell the person, and in many cases, someone submits. They'll raise their hands and say, I quit, and that's the goal.
Was the warning taser reasonable under the circumstances in this case?
That is specifically taught in the lesson plan. Number of reasons for that. It's really not for the suspect. It's more for the officers and others around the event to understand that a taser is just about to be deployed.
What would have happened had the taser, an actual taser, hit Mr. Wright vis-a-vis his ability to drive that car?
The actual taser device, when it performs as designed and intended, is the most effective incapacitation tool I've ever experienced, independent of a central nervous system disruption. And I I apologize for being graphic, a gunshot to the head, something that basically turns off the lights. The taser is the second best thing out there when it performs as designed and intended. In actual operation, it's a relatively fragile system. Things can happen. Clothing can be lofty. A probe maybe won't stick. The very best studies out there, the most recent, January 2021 with LAPD, is all excuses aside, the taser actually accomplishes overcoming resistance about 67% of the time.
In light of your review and the review of all the testimony that you've seen, was Officer Potter's perceived use of a taser consistent with contemporary and professional police training and practice?
Yes, sir.
And why?
The basic model policy definition of when the device would be used is completely relevant here. Grounds to arrest or detain, and a reasonable belief that physical force and resistance would follow. That was happening right before your eyes. And secondarily, when the physical control effort began and the dynamic nature of how he's trying to get away clearly needs to be stopped, just getting in the vehicle is significant, but officers would be aware of that weapons component and the concern, could there be a gun in the car? Could there be a gun on him? This isn't just about might this person drive away. So the need to stop it as quickly as possible is the key aspect. Nothing but the taser in that scenario.
The first thing I want to go over with you is Officer Potter's use of deadly force. Is her conduct in firing her Glock at Mr. Wright a use of deadly force?
It is, yes.
Why?
Again, firing a firearm, discharging a firearm is substantially likely to cause great bodily harm or death. That is the definition of deadly force.
And in your review of all the materials in this case, did you see any evidence that Officer Potter decided to use a gun in this case instead of a taser?
Did I see evidence that she decided to use a gun? I think the evidence that I've reviewed suggested that she intended to use the taser and not the firearm.
When you're reviewing then the use of deadly force, are you reviewing that act or a decision? Does that make sense?
I think so. If I understand your question, it's really what's the nature of the actions that I'm evaluating. I am evaluating the use of deadly force because that is in fact the force that was used. I separately have an opinion related to the use of a taser, which is what I understand Officer Potter intended to use in this case.
Earlier when you were describing the standard, in this hindsight 2020 thing, you talked about what known by the officer at the time. And I meant to follow up on that. At the time of what?
So known to the officer at the time that force is used. For example, just because a person does something at point A does not mean that officers can use the amount of force that would have been justified at point B. The circumstances may have changed. We're talking about dynamic situations. So the question is whether the particular use of force was proportional, and separately whether it was appropriate at the time that force was used.
In this case, have you reached an opinion to a reasonable degree of professional certainty whether Officer Potter's conduct in using deadly force was reasonable and justified?
I have, yes.
And what is that opinion?
The use of deadly force was not appropriate, and the evidence suggests that a reasonable officer in Officer Potter's position could not have believed that it was proportional to the threat at the time. In other words, the use of force was apparently excessive and inappropriate.
Specifically, the use of deadly force.
I'm sorry, yes, the use of deadly force.
Okay. So, Shawn, what do you think of all of this stuff that's been going on? I know you said you haven't had a chance to follow it. That was the video from the defense expert. Guys, what do you think? Shawn, what do you think?
Well, I think that Is this the case with the woman who said that she mistook her taser for a firearm? I remember that case. So it looks like this case, she's trying to find a way to try to get out of things, but the evidence is just there. I mean, if you have all this years of training, you should know the difference between your taser and your firearm. And it looks like to me that she was angry about your Dante resisting her commands, and then she wound up shooting him. And when I look at this whole case, they're trying to spin it as she was making a mistake, but she didn't make a mistake as I see it, because, again, a trained officer knows the difference between a taser and her service weapon. So I look at this whole case as them trying to get this woman out of accountability, but she needs to be held accountable for her actions, because it looks like to me she did intend to kill this young man. And they're trying to make it look like he was some sort of thug or some sort of bad boy, but we're seeing that he was a responsible son. We're seeing that he was a father, and we're seeing the human side of this young man in what I saw in the earlier video. And that was something that the mainstream media would not tell us about this young man. But we're seeing that here, and we're seeing that this rogue officer took the life of a young responsible man who was looking to take care of his family and be a part of a family.
Well, let me say this: she's charged with manslaughter.
Yeah.
So manslaughter doesn't require an intent. And there are varying degrees. There's, of course, when you act with reckless negligence, not even negligence, but in the heat of the moment. For instance, you kill someone, like a fight or so forth. If it's not a fight in self-defense or anything like that, then that could be considered manslaughter. Or if you walk in and see and I don't want anybody to take this as legal advice, but if you walk in and you see your lover, your wife, or your husband having an affair with someone else and you kill them, well, they use that as a manslaughter defense here. So that's what manslaughter is, and that's what they charge her under. And if she's convicted, she can face 15 years in prison. Now, this is just another clip from KARE 11 that shows the former police chief.
After Imes, Potter's former boss, ex-Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon took the stand, telling the jury he was ousted for political reasons.
I believe one of the reasons that I was required or requested to leave the agency was because I would not immediately fire Kim Potter.
Gannon, too, testified that Sergeant Johnson was in danger.
When I viewed both camera angles and had all the data in front of me, I saw no violation.
No violation of what?
Of policy, procedure, or law.
Prosecutors did make some ground on cross-examination with both men, implying Gannon is biased toward Potter.
Did you feel bad for her at the time?
I did.
Still feel bad for her?
I do.
So tomorrow is the big day when Kim Potter takes the witness stand in her own defense. It could happen first thing in the morning. The defense also has one more witness who's going to testify about action errors. And then it'll be closing arguments after that, potentially on Monday. Back to you.
All right, Lou, thank you. And of course, KARE 11 is bringing you live coverage daily from inside the courtroom throughout the trial. You can follow along on all of our digital platforms.
Yeah. So that was today. Yeah, that police chief was biased. That police chief was clearly biased.
Yeah.
On code. And the other officer that testified there as well. Let me say this. You can, if a suspect gets into a moving car after he's been detained, remember this. He was already outside the car, so they had frisked him for weapons. They had to. The car door was open. Now, I get that there could be a gun in the car. You're reaching. You don't do that. He had a warrant for his arrest. That's true. But there are a number of ways that you can still handle that as a lawyer. I mean, as a cop. The officer could have said, well, you got this warrant. We got to get this cleared up. I tell you what, you come downtown with us and let's go to the courthouse and clear your warrant. That's something they could do. Did they necessarily have to take him to booking? It's not. There's nothing in the law. I mean, that is procedure that they do, but they could have done other things if they had wanted to. Remember, all of this started, Sean, over air freshener hanging from his rearview mirror.
Yeah.
It's illegal in Minnesota to have that, believe it or not, because they think it obstructs your view.
I don't see how it does, because I mean, my father had that on his car for many years here in New York.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
selling them on the side of the road.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, our brother is
Yeah.
dead over a fucking air freshener.
And dead over, as I see it, racial profiling. Because
Racial profiling.
I doubt they would have done this to a white guy.
Yeah. Well, at either rate, there's a possibility. And look, as a lawyer, I respect the system and so forth as an officer of the court, but I would not be surprised if she walks. Even if she doesn't walk and she gets convicted, I doubt she's going to do 10 years. That's just my belief based off the mitigating factors that they have. Although the judge in the case, who I've seen, she has, I'm trying to think, I don't know her name. Somebody in the chat, help me out with the judge's name. The Kim Potter trial. Her name is Judge Regina Chu. That's her name, Regina Chu. She's been calm, but I saw the defense attorneys actually got mad with her for denying some of their motions and even a motion for acquittal. In fact, I saw one defense attorney slam the podium. They said he slammed his hands on the podium or something like that. That's a no-no to do that in front of the judge. But yeah, air freshener. That's why he got pulled over. One of the reasons. And then what they're talking about, well, he smoked marijuana. He smoked weed. Well, weed is becoming decriminalized across different states.
It's practically decriminalized almost all across the country.
And you have now some states, it's like in Louisiana, it's still illegal.
Yeah.
But in Orleans, for instance, even though we're in the state of Louisiana, the city council had passed an ordinance saying that they weren't going to enforce it, depending on the amount that they had. We got trucks that sell it. We got we got movies like Pineapple Express. The damn Seth Rogen and James Franco, they made a living off of marijuana.
Yep.
Movies, Cheech and Chong.
It's a part of culture. I mean, the High Times magazine has been writing about it for years.
Yeah. Don't hear this bullshit. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'll get to this briefly because our brother Kamel, Computer Robots, aka Computer Robot, shout out to him. He joined in. He wanted to share a video with me. I'm just looking at this, but apparently, Sean, if we can play it, I'm trying not to keep you too long because I got one more topic, but I'm gonna just play it for our brother Kamel since he asked us to discuss it. This is my first time seeing this.
Chill out, bro. That's serious, yo. That's serious. Chill out. Let them watch the game in the video, yo. All right, yo. When did I shut the fuck up? What are you talking? Chill out. You fucking crazy.
Hold that right now. I'm not being embarrassed for your okay.
I'm not doing anything.
Hey, let's come over here.
Chill out.
Dude.
Oh, shit. Chill out, man. Chill out. Everybody hit nobody, man. Chill out, though, yo. Everybody don't touch her. Chill out, yo. Chill out. It was a good the fuck out. Don't touch her, yo. I'm not fucking touching shit. Relax. I ain't fucking nothing, relax. Get her the fuck out of here. Relax. I ain't fucking touching anything. Get your fucking ass out of here. Fucking bitch. Fuck you. Get her the fuck out of here. Chill out. Chill out. Look at you, man. We got this, man. Relax, bro. They're fucking with you. Fucking with you. Fucking with you. We got this, bitch. Fuck out of here. We got this, man.
Did you say anything, Sean?
Well, I don't really see much except a black woman, I think, threw a beer in the face of a white dude. I don't know.
She good. She good. Chill out, yo. Hey, stop, man. What are you doing? It's a female, yo. It's a female. Chill out, yo. It's a female. I know it's a female, but it don't look to be physical. I know. I know. We good. All right. We're good. We good. Nobody touch me, man. Nobody touch me. I know. I'm really good, man. That's your girl, yo? That's your girl? All right, that's your girl? All right. Oh, no. I'm not that party. I was trying to calm everything down. I'm not. Yeah. You can't go on everybody. You can't go on everybody. That's a good. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I know. That was wrong. That was wrong. Yeah, that's all good, man. You see go drinking the face. You shouldn't have did that shit, though, man. It wasn't necessary. Face, man.
All right. I don't know what happened with that, but she threw a beer in his face. I don't know what happened previously to that. If he had said something to her, he probably could have tugged the jacket. I don't know. It happened so quick, Sean. I didn't see.
Yeah, I didn't really get to see what was going on there. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Was it a ratchet black female or was it just your typical day with the football? It's hard to really, for me to really get an observation of what was going on. That's what happens at these football games anyway. I mean, you got a lot of people who are emotional, a lot of people who are drunk, and this is what happens with football games. That's why I don't like really going out to live events. So yeah, I guess it's just that it's your typical what they call angry black woman, but that's what happens at these games. So
Yeah, I've been to these games. I mean, I see it happen. I see people who don't want to talk to others. I've seen people who get into fights. I've seen altercations happen with opposing team members, opposing fans. They get upset.
I mean, that's why I don't really watch too much sports except on now and again because people get really emotional. They start getting personal.
Alcohol involved,
Yep.
which tends to be a problem from time to time. So I don't really know what happened on it, computer robots, but yeah, he did that right in front of the dude's son too. So the son started crying. Yeah, but whoever she was, I mean, she could have been. She's lucky I don't know if she was arrested, but she could have been arrested for that because that's a misdemeanor. That's a battery. If you throw a beer in someone's face, that's against the law.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she got annoyed by him. I mean, you have that at these games. I love going to the Saints games. So I did when I was a kid. When I was younger than what I am now. I'm still young, but we had season tickets and we saw stuff like this. Not often, but it would come every now and then because people drink.
And that's what happens at games. People are drunk, people are emotional, and what happens is you're going to get a lot of fights, you're going to get a lot of arguments, and that's what happens at football games. That's what happens. That's why if you don't want to deal with this type of stuff, you just sit down, get your big screen, and you watch the game on your big screen.
And you can drink all you want there and curse all you want. You can hit the wall.
Yep.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is our final topic. And just as a little snap at Queen Shakur, this will be under 2 hours. James Brown's catalog sold for $90 million. The boss is asking, or he has, I shouldn't say asking, but he's gotten $500 million. You all know who the boss is. Shawn, you know who the boss is.
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen. James Brown's estate got $90 million for his entire catalog. Not just his catalog, but his image and likeness is going to be operated by Primary Wave. They announced a partnership just on December 13th with the estate of the Godfather of Soul, James Brown, as part of this new deal, acquiring a stake in his music publishing, his master recording income stream, and his name and likeness rights. So y'all know what that means. When you see this, let me stop the screen and let me just show you the press release. I'm gonna play the video also. I have here, but you look at this, Shawn, image and likeness rights. That means, you know what that means, right?
That means that James Brown's face is now owned by a white man. His image and likeness are now basically in the hands of Bruce Springsteen.
Well, yeah, but no, not Bruce Springsteen. He doesn't. Primary Wave is not Bruce Springsteen.
Okay, but a whole bunch of corporate people now have his likeness and his image. And this is one of the worst things that could ever happen. Again, it's more Black folks being short-sighted as related to wealth, and they sell their wealth for riches, and then white people take the assets that were wealth-building assets, and they become, like in this case, almost billionaires
Well, Shawn,
at the expense of Black people.
I gotta stop you right quick. The point in why I was asking you that,
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that I wasn't trying to get you to say necessarily that James Brown image is owned by a white man, which it is. But when we say name and likeness rights, that means I'm trying to get at something.
Yeah.
What did they do with Tupac and Michael Jackson?
Well, they license their image. They license for merchandising. They license it for products.
They have, but what have you seen in some of these shows?
They make holograms.
Correct. So that means James Brown is going to be the next hologram.
Yeah.
It's going to likely be the next hologram for $90 million.
Yeah.
And James Brown, the Georgia legend, the man from Carolina, a brother was born in the Carolinas. He lives in, that's where his estate was. They're going to make, here's the thing, they sold it for $90 million. They're going to likely make $250 million or better off of James Brown. This was probably more than that. This was the robbery. This is the robbery of the year.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think of Tina Turner selling her whole catalog for $50 million. Just for some change. Black people don't value themselves.
We don't value wealth. We just think
No.
about being rich.
It's just enough. I need enough to get by. We don't think of generational wealth. This is a license to print money. You think about it. Michael Jackson's family supposedly got $750 million when he sold when they sold the Sony ATV catalog. That catalog is worth billions. That Beatles catalog, it's not just the Beatles. It was half of Sony, Jay-Z. It was Bruce Springsteen. It was Beyonce. Do you know that Michael owned, Shawn, did you know Michael owned Santa Claus is Coming to Town?
Yeah, I know.
He owned the Christmas song. Now think of that. Those are the two most popular Christmas songs of all time. They're played constantly on radio right now. If you go on a R&B station, you're going to hear Santa Claus is Coming to Town by the Jackson 5 or Bruce Springsteen. That's the popular version of it. Or you're going to hear Nat King Cole sing Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire. Michael was getting a check for that. Little Richard, he had that. They're going to be making billions off this. It's just like what happened with Prince. They tear the vault down. Prince has a whole library of music that has not even been released. And they could actually put out an album each they actually said that Prince got so much music in there, they could make an album for the rest of the century. Think of that. Here is the man who is arguably the most influential singer of all time. As great as Michael was as an entertainer, James Brown, who was his idol and his mentor, was the man who started it all. He influenced a whole genre, different genres of music, hip hop in particular. Hip hop is here because of James Brown. He's the most sampled artist in history. That song, The Funky Drummer, his drummer Clyde Stubblefield, that song is sampled on too many hip hop albums. Unfortunately, Clyde Stubblefield never made money from it. And this is a video too I wanted to share with y'all, but the movie I was talking about, this is it here, James Brown and the Devil. James Brown, I can't play it because I don't know if I'll get hit with a copyright strike, but go to this, and this is the video I was talking about where James Brown's son was saying how his father went to the crossroads. Darryl Brown talked about how, yeah, his dad sold his soul. Y'all look at this. And it's nothing disparaging against James Brown, but a lot of those artists, you know, the music industry, as my brother Albert Lanier, our journalist, and by the way, tune in, we're going to have a podcast, starting a podcast soon. We talked about this. He talked about how the music industry was much more compared to Las Vegas, and how in the 1940s and 50s when it was run by the mafia, the mafia running Vegas was more humane than the music industry, even to this day.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Bruce Springsteen has sold the rights to his music catalog to Sony Music. The New York Times reporting the deal is worth about $500 million. The sale will give Sony ownership of the rock legend's entire song and publishing catalog, including 15-time platinum album Born in the USA. It is the most lucrative transaction in history for a single artist's catalog.
The most
hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite
in history for a single artist.
Yeah. All that money, but the whole thing is they lost a lot of wealth.
$90 million. And I don't even know who controls the estate, because people mistake that the estate means family. It does not. The estate means after a person dies, the estate is the group of people that inherit it. If there's a will, there's those people that are the estate. You have an administrator that runs the estate. This was chump change. Exactly, brother.
Pennies.
This was nothing. They could have easily gotten 250 million. They should have gotten like 250 million from it. I could have been okay with that.
They gave it away for pennies.
$90 million? Below 100? You just didn't give the catalog and the publishing away. You gave away his image and likeness. So that means that person, whoever in the estate owns James Brown's image and likeness, they got to talk. If the movie companies want to talk, they got to talk to that person in order to do a story on his life. I know they already did the movie already, but they got to talk to him if they want to include his music in anything. If they wanted to do some other stuff on James Brown, they got to talk to them.
Yeah.
I was just listening. James Brown has written, you got to think of this, Shawn. Do you know how many songs? Let me show you guys this. All right. Hold on 1 second. There are over, I don't know how many songs in total that he has written, but, and of course, this is not always reliable when you look at this, because some of the songs they leave off, they only include the songs that were hits, especially when you go on Wikipedia, right?
Yeah.
They look at the songs that are hits. They don't list everything you have written. You may have written a song that didn't sell but 1 penny. And just made 2 pennies off of it, or a dime. So they won't make won't name that. But you look at all of these songs that James Brown either wrote by himself or collaborated. Doesn't matter. As long as his name's on it, he's credited as a co-writer. Ain't it funky now? Look how many songs. Look at the catalog.
It's huge.
Right.
It's billions of dollars, especially when you start talking about using the songs in advertising or using the songs in movies. I mean, this is billions of dollars they probably the estate threw away for pennies, because James Brown's music is going to be around for years and generations. I mean, the money you could make on soundtracks, the money you could make on sampling.
I mean, the payback.
Yeah, a song that's been used multiple times over the last 10, 15 years.
Right. The Funky Drummer. Now, this is the most sampled song of all time. His drum break, Clyde Stubblefeld's drum break, is the most sampled in music recordings. You've heard it in tracks like South Bronx, Eric B. is the President, Public Enemy had it. And unfortunately, he never received songwriting credit because, and as such, he doesn't get royalties from the sampling. So he, unfortunately, did not die a wealthy man, but he did have admirers. In particular, shout out to the ancestor Prince. Prince paid Clyde Stubblefeld's medical bills for the rest of his life. Clyde was Prince's favorite drummer. Prince paid for his medical bills. Salute to Prince for that. Because Prince had money, obviously. And Prince, he didn't have to do that, but he did. It's called looking out.
Yeah.
Y'all think Jay-Z gonna do some shit like that? Think again.
Nope.
You think Michael Jackson went to James Brown's funeral when other artists would stay away? There were only a few artists that went there. Him and MC Hammer is the only one I could think of.
And both of them were majorly inspired and influenced by James Brown.
Absolutely. And Michael picked out the casket for James Brown, according to his son. Clyde Stubblefield was badass drummer. Absolutely. You know who was another one? The Bernard Purdie. Now, he wasn't James Brown's drummer, but the Purdie Shuffle. Bernard Purdie was Aretha Franklin's drummer. He was on Rocksteady, Daydreaming, a lot of songs. Of course, he sampled, and you look at these rock groups like the Toto, they all copied him. Jumbo Starks, that was James Brown, another James Brown drummer. So that means James Brown's image and likeness. And James Brown, Shawn, believe it or not, his son even said his father never sold his image and likeness when he was alive.
No, because he understood the value of it. And he also understood that if whites got a hold of it, they would pervert his image. I mean, James Brown was very, very pro-black, and he was very about protecting his image.
And this was a man who didn't have a formal education. He was business savvy.
Yeah.
They would come, when the record labels would come and present him with a car, he would say, take the car back. You know why he would say that? Because that's under your contract. Oh, we gave you this. We paid you this money, James, when we got this car for you. No, you didn't. Take it back.
Nope.
I don't want it. I can buy my own car.
Because you want your money.
That's how they got that's how they got TLC. What's up, Taisha? I mean, look, Michael Jackson gave Little Richard back his music publishing. He gave him back his catalog, according to Dick Gregory. Gave it back for nothing. He saw that when he purchased that ATV catalog, he realized that there were a lot of black artists in there, including Little Richard. And it was his mother, Catherine, who told Michael, or convinced him, said, you should give it back to him because Little Richard got railroaded. A lot of those artists were railroaded. I mean, yes, he did. That's what I'm talking about, Bossa Queenie. Yeah. They got railroaded. I mean, did you know Jackie Wilson died without a headstone? That's how broke he was.
Yeah, that's sad.
his manager, who was also the head of the Brunswick label, was robbing him left and right. He actually had it was a song Jackie Wilson wrote. They didn't give Jackie the credit. Nate Turnipole, who was the record label owner and Jackie's manager, do you know that SOB was so slick? He put his own son as the co-writer of that song, and his son wasn't even born then. This all came out in court. And Jackie, unfortunately, because Jackie was hospitalized after he had a heart attack, he was in a vegetative state. So he couldn't testify as to whether it was true or not. And no one could testify on his behalf, so he couldn't get any money. So Dick Clark, till the day he died, paid all of Jackie Wilson's medical bills. Sam Cooke is someone who understood the power of ownership as well. That's why Sam Cooke was taken out. He didn't sell his image and likeness. He wouldn't sell his publishing. Ray Charles is another man that knew the power of his image and music. He was one of the first. He and Sam Cooke were one of the few, and James Brown, those three were one of the few Black artists who understood the power of ownership.
It's very, very powerful, because if you don't look out for your ownership, you're going to lose everything. So,
right. I mean, look, I'm sorry, Shawn.
Those are wealth building assets. I mean, they are intellectual properties, and you have to protect your image. You have to protect your publishing, because as a publisher myself, that's why I make sure I take care of things like copyright and things like that, because those are wealth generating assets, and you can take them from one business to another. And if you own all of that, you control all of that money.
Yeah, he gave it back to Little Richard for nothing.
Yeah, because he just respected him. I mean, that's where the respect was.
Right. That would be like if I had bought Richard Pryor's comedy album collection or catalog, and I had the rights to them, I would give it to Richard Pryor for nothing, just because it's Richard Pryor.
Yeah, let him have his wealth building assets.
Although Richard, I know he's no longer here, but even if it were Red Fox, I would give it back to Red Fox. Of course, had financial issues, sadly. Sammy Davis Jr., those guys, and part of it was they bad business mistakes, but part of it also they got cheated on some stuff. That happens. Jackie Wilson got cheated. Even Sam Cooke got cheated. Look at the documentary, Lady You Shot Me. Did you know, by the way, Shawn, that Otis Redding and James Brown were actually going to start their own black music publishing company? And
no, I didn't know that. But that would have been a good thing to do.
Well, unfortunately, they were, but unfortunately, Otis died. And there's been speculation as to his plane, that perhaps the plane ride he took, as if something happened with that. Now, I've heard that his son said it did happen, said Otis was not killed in a plane crash, he was beat up. But, I don't know that for a fact, per se, because I wasn't there. That was in 1967. I wasn't even born. But would it surprise me? No. And, we'll be talking about that, too, in the future, so look out. But even they say James Brown's death, Shawn, his son has even said, and there's an investigation now in that CNN even talked about it, that James Brown was murdered. His son talked about his dad being poisoned. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but
yeah.
Like we say, this music industry is let's put it like this, ladies and gentlemen, it is the second to largest import in the United States after drugs or pharmaceuticals. And it's worth a lot of money. So that's why I'm in it. I mean, even when Berry Gordy sold Motown, he didn't sell it for a great amount of money. And I believe Polygram, he sold it to Polygram, and then NBC Universal bought it, and they tripled the amount for it. hold on, before you go, because I know I promised we would be under 2 hours. I will be, but let me just show you all when Motown was sold. Okay, so let's look at this right quick. All right. So all right. So Berry Gordy, by the mid 1980s, Motown was losing money, and Berry Gordy, you know, he moved Motown out to Los Angeles, started making movies. He sold his ownership to MCA Records, which had a distribution deal in the United States with the label in 1983, and Boston Ventures for $61 million. In 1989, he sold Motown Productions TV film operations to Suzanne DePass, who continues to run it as of 2018. He retained the Jobet Music Publishing Catalog, Motown's music publishing catalog, selling it separately to EMI Music Publishing in parts between 1997 and 2004. It is nowadays owned by Sony AT Music Publishing, or Sony ATV, through the acquisition of EMI Music Publishing in 2012. So what happened is that Sony ATV bought out EMI, that music publishing catalog. Berry Gordy no longer owns it. Now, they don't list how much it was for, and I saw that even in my reports, Berry Gordy at one point was going to sell it to Michael Jackson, which I wish he would have done, because he would have kept it not only in black hands, but in the Motown family. Because Michael is Motown. But think of this. Motown, they sell it for $61 million in 1988, which I don't know the equivalent of that in the 80s, but let's say that was worth about what? How much would that be worth today? 61 million in 1988.
It'll be a couple billion by now.
So 1 million in 1988 is equivalent to $2,349,518. $518.17, excuse me. So basically, if I'm just, for the sake of argument, it would have been doubled, Shawn.
Yeah.
But today, that's actually worth, that's got to be worth more than even 120 million. You got to think Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross and the Supremes, the Miracles, Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye, the Jackson 5, the Temptations, the Four Tops, Junior Walker and the All-Stars, and many others, Mary Well. That's got to be worth, the Supremes, that's worth billions. So yeah. I have nothing more to say, Shawn. I said I would keep it under 2 hours, and I will. But ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Computer Robots, for the shout outs. Yes, the book, I know I've said it was coming out this fall. I'm still pushing for it before the end of the year. The problem has been getting with legal again, but it is coming. So you got to tune into the Facebook page. Go to facebook.com, Commonwealth Cause, it's right there, or you could just hit at Commonwealth Cause, which is right here, ladies and gentlemen. On Facebook, it's easier to find, and subscribe to the page so the book will come out. When you get it, it'll be notified. Shawn, go ahead and do your plugins, brother.
All right. Well, again, the SJS Direct 2021 books are now available on Amazon.com, and those include John Haynes Taking Care of Business, ISIS Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, Esteem Council Vacation, and Stop Simping in Cyberspace. And you can find all of those books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com. And you can also find them on other online booksellers in paperback, such as Barnes & Noble, and other online booksellers. You can also find the digital formats on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And this holiday season would be a great time to pick up some SJS Direct books and share positive Black fiction with the members of your family.
Most definitely. Again, ladies and gentlemen, tune in to the Facebook page at Commonwealth Cause to get all updates about the book that's coming soon on Amazon, Kindle, and paperback format. Purchase Shawn's books at ShawnJames.blogspot.com and also on Amazon. Support the SJS Directed. Buy a book for Christmas. It might make a good stocking stuffer for your loved one, ladies and gentlemen. And also, if you want to support me, of course, if you want to advertise, you can hit me up at gavin.jurish1@gmail.com, or you can go to the Patreon at gboot2786. Also, of course, our Creole seasoning blends, ladies and gentlemen, Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nawny's goes great with every dish. And you can get that and order you some seasoning. I know DeAndre and a couple others have just recently ordered. Those will go out in the mail tomorrow. I promise you that, ladies and gentlemen. And my brother, hold on a second one. Shout out to everybody in the chat, from DeAndre to Computer Robots, our brother who's always on here supporting me. Also, we got to go ahead and support Bossa Queenie. Thank you for being here. Black Voltron from the Bay, Vulcan 205. And guys, of course, I got to plug my music in. So we got Video Soul, which is available right now on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. I prefer if you buy it, but if you can stream it on Spotify, that would be cool if you could do that. You could also check out our Video Soul. I got more songs that'll be coming out soon. And of course, our theme song, ladies and gentlemen, is going to get on up. Since we have gotten on down, it is now time to boogie and get on up, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get on out of here. Rick James, yeah, Motown. Oh, yeah. Rick James came out in the 80s. Well, late 70s and 80s. He was on the Motown label. And he got his albums funded, you know this, Shawn, by actually with the mafia.
Wow.
He had loans that his mother was a runner for the mob. She used to run numbers. So they actually supported him. Of course, it was a loan. He just didn't give you money, but the album was successful and he paid him back. So, but let's get on out of here and get on up. Shawn, I really appreciate you for being here, brother.
Now, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate being on your show. Just picked up some Nawnies online, and I'm urging everybody to pick up some too.
Most definitely. And buy Stop Simping in the Cyberspace, guys. It's a good read, but also The Man Crisis. I have that book, and that is a must read, especially if you want to understand the world today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you to Shawn. Thank you to the chat. Please donate to the Cash App if you can, guys. And I will see you all on Sunday. And stay tuned for some more details on our new podcast. All right. I'll holla. Peace. Night, Shawn.
Good night.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat. Because on the dance floor is where we'll move. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop. Do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up, baby. Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up, baby. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.